the Oscars. The Oscar nominations have just been announced, and yeah, let's see what made it. Let's see what made it.
Let's go.
Are we ready for some nominees?
Let's go.
The 2025 Oscar nominations are here, with Emilia Perez leading the pack. Rachel Sennett and Bowen Yang announced this year's nominees across 23 categories. Emilia Perez leads the nominations with 13 nods, with Wicked and The Brutalist following with 10. Nominees for actor in a supporting role include Yura Borisov for Anora, Kieran Culkin for A Real Pain, Edward Norton for A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice, with what looks like a showdown between both Succession stars. Nominees for actress in a supporting role include Monica Barbaro for A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande for Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Emilia Perez. Snubs in this category include Saldana's Emilia Perez co-star Selena Gomez and Margaret Qualley for The Substance. Actor in a leading role nominations include Adrian Brody for The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet for A Complete Unknown, who would become the youngest Best Actor winner should he win, Colman Domingo for Sing Sing, Ray Fiennes for Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice, the Donald Trump biopic. For actress in a leading role, nominees are Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Emilia Perez, who makes history as the first trans woman nominated for Best Actress, Mikey Madison for Anora, Demi Moore for The Substance, and Fernanda Torres for I'm Still Here. And for Best Picture, the nominees are Anora, The Brutalist, A Complete Unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, Emilia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boys, The Substance, and Wicked. The 97th Academy Awards, hosted by Conan O'Brien, will air live.
Which is going to be fire. Having Conan O'Brien host the Oscars. That's the one aspect of the Oscars I'm actually looking forward this year, is to have Conan O'Brien host, because the entire run that he's been on, post TV show, his podcast run and everything, like, has been immaculate. Like, and to see him kind of culminate this with Oscar kind of hosting job, I'm excited for that.
Coast to Coast on Sunday, March 2nd from the Dolby Theater at Ovation Hollywood, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern.
I mean, not a ton of surprises, quite honestly. Like, it seemed to be the movies and the typical kind of affair that Oscars seem to nominate is what got nominated. There's clearly some movies that are Oscar bait. When you see them, when you hear about them, when you watch the trailers, like, you know, this is clearly aimed for the Oscars, and those type of movies did get the attention. Like, we're going to break this down a little bit more, but like, actor in a leading role, Adrian Brody, The Brutalist, Timothée Chalamet, A Complete Unknown, Colman Domingo, Sing Sing, Ralph Fiennes, Conclave, and Sebastian Stan for The Apprentice. The only one I've actually seen, I think, is Sing Sing, A Complete Unknown, and I have not seen The Brutalist yet. So out of all these, not really a surprise. Only biggest surprise, honestly, is Colman Domingo, who's been a long-time actor, working actor within the industry. This is his first, I think he directed this film, like wrote and directed this film. This was his first major kind of project of his own, that his own volition, of his own vision. And like, if you've seen that movie, you can understand why he got nominated. I am surprised he did get the nod and got the love that, you know, he rightfully deserved for that role and for just the overall film in general. But I am surprised that he did get it. But like, his performance in that, immaculate. Timothée Chalamet in Complete Unknown, he definitely transformed as, you know, Bob Dylan. I think he did his thing. I think he is, you know, overhated, a little overrated, but also overhated at the same time. And I can understand why he would get nominated for that, because, you know, especially as someone that's iconic and as big as like a Bob Dylan, and to kind of transform the way he did and like really embody him and his mannerisms and everything. I don't think it's the best biopic. I don't think it's very enjoyable biopic in general. I don't really like that film. I don't think it's quite as charismatic or as just enveloping as a performance as, say, like a Jamie Foxx as Ray, but I do think he did his own. And in terms of like all the other kind of performances this year, I can see also why that got nominated. But if I was going to pick a winner from all this, I think it's going to be Adrian Brody and The Brutalist. I think it is the absolute type of film that Hollywood loves, the ones that is a love letter to Hollywood in general in terms of big cinema, 3-hour film, filmed, shot on film, like actual film, big, epic, big kind of like coming to America story of making it in America, just the underbelly, seeing everything about it. Like, I think this is the absolute kind of project that was made for the Oscars, and I would not be surprised to see the Brutalist sweep in a lot of categories, not just leading role. But if I was going to say one that's going to win, I think Adrian Brody is going to finally get his love. And like, I've not seen the Brutalist, but just from the trailers and everything I've heard about it, it seems the absolute definition of Oscar bait, and kind of rightfully so, because I do think Adrian Brody is a very underrated talent. He's obviously had his chances at like kind of mega stardom. He's teased and flirted with like kind of breaking through to like this next stratosphere in terms of acting and name recognition. But he's also paired that with some absolutely riveting roles and moves. And I do think he's been underrated as an actor, and to see him kind of get his love is kind of dope to see. It would be very much in line with like a Brendan Fraser, who finally got his attention and love with, you know, The Whale. Maybe not quite as hard of a fall off as him, but like to see like these character actors and people who like were almost household names at one point finally get their just due and get their comeback, and like these much more grounded, artsy type films is dope. And I do love that. And I do love Adrian Brody, and to see him get this would be dope. Actor in a supporting role is Yura Borzov for Honora, Kieran Culkin, A Real Pain, Edward Norton, A Complete Unknown, Guy Pearce for The Brutalist, and Jeremy Strong for The Apprentice. Honora I've seen, and Honora is, you know, one that I thought was going to get actually much more nominations than it did. It was kind of the buzz and talk of the town when it first came out, but you know, it's still getting its love here and there. I don't think he's going to win for that. I don't know who's going to win this one. If I was going to hope, and I actually do think what's going to happen is, I think Kieran Culkin is actually going to win this. Kieran Culkin of Macaulay Culkin fame, his brother, younger brother of one Macaulay Culkin, the younger cousin in Home Alone, and breakout star in Succession, is getting his love. He's getting his due. He's getting his recognition as a top tier actor. And to see him kind of like get this attention and love is very dope to see. He also just won in the Golden Globes, and to see him kind of win an Oscar would be a full circle moment for a lot of us that not only grew up with Home Alone and his brother, but to see him like come back around and like come through in Succession, break through as like somebody who's considered kind of be goofy, off center, not your typical movie star, but to somebody kind of break through out of his brother's shadow and Home Alone shadow and all that other stuff, and like make a name for himself, not only from TV but on the big screen. Again, if I was gonna pick, this would be my choice, and I do think it'd be absolutely fire. And it would also be a fire because is A Real Pain, I think, is Jesse Eisenberg's self-directed written movie as well that he chose to co-star with him. And like to see Jesse also kind of get his credit and just do in Hollywood after all these years of like loved, hated, loved again, like hated again, and like once again getting like the love as like a true kind of like force in the Hollywood industry would be dope. So Kieran Culkin would be my choice, and one that I would want to see win an actor in a supporting role. Actress in a leading role, Cynthia Erivo for Wicked, Carla Sofia Gascon for Amelia Perez, Mikey Madison for Nora, Demi Moore for Substance, and Fernanda Torres. I mean, Demi Moore won this in the Golden Globes. So honestly, I would not be surprised to see her win this one as well. Again, much like I already talked about with Kieran Culkin and Adrian Brody, like for see these kind of once older star actors finally come back around and get their just dues, get their recognition and for their actual acting chops, not their star power and star quality, but like acting chops, and like getting this love would be an absolutely insane moment. And I would be all for that. And, you know, we kind of got a little tease of that in Golden Globes, but like, I do think there's a very good chance that she wins here as well. And to see her go from G.I. Jane, which is the first movie I ever saw, to like getting an Oscar for who she said she never thought she would get, and I never thought that she would get, it'd be dope. It'd definitely be a kind of fairy tale ending for somebody's career like Demi Moore, who's been around for so many years, but never got the true recognition on a critical kind of standpoint, much like, you know, Jamie Lee Curtis a couple years ago. That would be dope. Actress in a supporting role, Monica Barbaro, A Complete Unknown, Ariana Grande, Wicked, Felicity Jones for The Brutalist, Isabella Rossellini for Conclave, and Zoe Saldana for Amelia Perez. Zoe Saldana won this in the Golden Globes. Ariana Grande's first nomination ever for an Oscar, which is kind of dope to see. Felicity Jones, she's obviously a fantastic actress as well. Would not be surprised. I'm not really sure who would win this one. I've not seen Amelia Perez, so I cannot speak about it. But the fact that it's getting so many nominations seems to be like it is a favorite. It's one that has gotten much love this year, one that has become a kind of darling of the film industry for this year, and like one that is getting all the awards. What is it, like 10 nominations, 13 nominations, something like that? So I wouldn't be surprised if Zoe Saldana got this, and if she got this again, that'd be an absolutely insane, epic moment for somebody who's been part of some of the biggest franchises of all time, Marvel, Avatar, you name it, who's been like a character actor, who's been a fixture on our movie screens for so long, but more as a movie star, not as an actor. And to see her kind of get her just dues is also dope to see. So like, I don't know, this could be the year that like all of these former movie stars turned like actors getting their love and appreciation. This could be the year for it, but who knows? Maybe. I would also be surprised to see like Ariana Grande somehow sneak and get that. If she got that, that'd be kind of insane. I don't think that she was the best actor or actress out of this whole category in terms of her role in Wicked, but I do think she did a decent job. Animated feature film, Flow, Inside Out 2, Memoir of Starwong. For me, Inside Out 2, one of the best animated, most like heartfelt films, animated films, probably of all time. I think it's one of Pixar's best movies that they've ever made. I think the way that they handle and touch on and like approach the topics that they do with such insane storytelling and character and heart that's like can be relatable to not only kids but like people of all ages. Yeah, Inside Out 2, fire. People were literally crying in the movie theater when that shit came out. Cinematography. Ooh, this is an interesting one. Ooh. I've seen Nosferatu, fire ass movie. I've seen obviously Dune 2, fire ass movie, and The Brutalist looks insane in terms of cinematography. If I was gonna pick one, I think The Brutalist would win just simply for the fact that it was shot on film and it's a fucking 3+ hour epic, and like just the visuals, just whenever you have a film that goes back in time and does kind of like the time period kind of film, it's a cheat code. It's a cheat code because Hollywood loves to pat themselves on the back, and the golden era of Hollywood was during those times. And if you can kind of bring it back in those ways in a very realistic, grounded manner, which The Brutalist seems to do, especially world building for like a 3-hour plus movie, it's hard to see it not winning. It's very hard to see it not winning. But if I was to choose, Nosferatu would be my favorite in terms of visuals and just world building and just everything that they do, because Robert Eggers, I think it's Robert Eggers, is top notch in terms of that in every film that he's done. And Nosferatu is no exception. So for me, I want Nosferatu, but I think The Brutalist would win for that. Directing, Honora Sean Baker, which would be dope because I think Sean Baker is an absolutely fantastic director. Brady Corbett for The Brutalist, James Mangold for Complete Unknown, Amelia Perez, Jacques Audiard, I think, and The Substance, Coralie Fargiat. It's kind of crazy that Dune 2, Denis Villeneuve is not being nominated for this category. Like, I can't think of a much bigger movie to have ever come out in this past year or so than Dune Part 2, and it was an absolute box office success. Visuals were insane. The ability to kind of translate that insane book to film, which has been tried multiple times and has failed multiple times, and the ability to do that to the degree that he did and to not get the recognition is kind of insane to me. It's a major snub. I don't know how he did not get a nomination, but there's always one or two of those a year. If I was going to say one that would probably win, I would say Coralie Fargiat for The Substance, because it was such a left field, out of nowhere kind of film that people weren't really expecting to be taken aback by the way that they were and the love that it's getting. I think that she, or Coralie, I think that she would kind of pull away with this one, but who knows? It could be Sean Baker as well. Film editing, again, Dune not being part of film editing is crazy. Music, Wicked. I think Wicked got that hands down. People were literally standing up and singing in theaters, and somebody who's not a fan of musicals like me, the music was hitting. Let's do these two. Best writing for adapted screenplay. Again, Dune Part 2 not being there is fucking crazy. Like that, you don't understand how hard. If you have not read Dune, you haven't read the series. Like you don't understand how hard it is to translate that form of that book to film and do it in a cohesive, enjoyable, cinematic way that no matter where you're coming from, man, no matter if you know the series or not, the history or not, you can grab onto it, be pulled in, and just enjoy it. It's insane to me that is not somehow being nominated for screenplay, because that shit is a tough. Sing Seed is dope because, again, I think I think Amelia Perez is going to win that one. Original screenplay, it's Between Honor, The Brutalist, Real Pain, September 5th, and Substance. I think The Substance is going to get it simply for the fact that Hollywood loves films that try to have a message, and there's a very, very clear message that they have in The Substance, and like it is one of the biggest films from this year in terms of like the film community. It's gotten a lot of love, so I think The Substance is going to win that one as well. Best Picture, here we go. Here's the nominees: Honora, The Brutalist, a complete unknown, Conclave, Dune Part 2, which is kind of crazy. It didn't get nominated for director or for screenplay, but got nominated for Best Picture. Amelia Perez, I'm Still Here, Nickel Boyce, The Substance, and Wicked. I think Wicked's gonna win. I think Wicked was easily the biggest film to have come out this past year. I think it was a moment, a cultural moment that crossed over across so many like cross sections of, you know, the culture and community and just the world in general. I think that they adapted it in a way that people did not think that they were going to be able to adapt it. And it was such a beloved property before, and they still kind of knocked it out of the fucking park. And the production was crazy. Visuals were crazy. I think Wicked's going to win. My pick would probably be Dune Part 2, but I think it's either Wicked, Substance, or The Brutalist are the three that are going to probably win this, but I'm going to say The Wicked is probably going to win. Yeah, but that's it for like the nominees of Oscars. See what some of the biggest snubs were.
The 2025 Oscar nominations are out, so what were the big surprises and who got snubbed? We're breaking it all down. A number of big names, including some past Oscar favorites like Angelina Jolie, Denzel Washington, and Nicole Kidman, missed out on recognition this year. Maria was an expected nominee in multiple categories.
Yeah, I am very surprised that well, a couple of these. I'm surprised Angelina Jolie did not get any love for Maria. Obviously, I did not hear about the movie. I did not see the movie. I did not see a lot of people talking about it in terms of good or bad. I think it kind of just came and went. But the fact that she kind of went this character route, biopic, and like really kind of seemed to dig deep in her artistic bag to deliver this, which is always tough to do. It's kind of the ones that always get the love. Biopics always get you nominations. That's just a fact of Hollywood. The biopics, good biopics get you love. But I think the fact that nobody really discussed or talked about it and it didn't really set the world ablaze is why she didn't get the attention. But I'm very surprised. I thought that her going this route would be her way of getting, you know, inserted into the Oscars conversation. So I was very surprised by this one.
But only got one nomination for cinematography. Not only was two-time Oscar winner Denzel Washington left out of the Best Supporting Actor category for his work in Gladiator 2, the film also only earned one nomination for Best Costume Design. Baby Girl star.
Not surprised by that. Gladiator 2, as kind of enjoyable as it was and much better than I expected it to be in terms of like a sequel to a much beloved and classic film. Not really surprised to see him not get nominated for that. I think it was a very, very fun, memorable role from him, but I don't think it is one that was necessarily award worthy. I am surprised about Nicole Kidman not getting one for Baby Girl, because all of the previews, all the reviews were kind of raving about her performance, raving about the film. This was her big return to film and like her big kind of like, I'm here, my name still matters, tour de force type film, and like for her to not get any nomination for Baby Girl was kind of insane. It's also an A24 project, which is becoming a Hollywood darling. So like everything seemed to line up perfectly for her to make a run at the Oscars, and for the fact that it did not happen is kind of crazy.
Starring Nicole Kidman was racking up nominations and awards earlier this season, but received no Oscar noms this morning. Another film that also got shut out was Challengers, despite being in the awards conversation all season. Stars Zendaya, director Luca Guadagnino, and even Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross, who won at the Golden Globes for Best Score, failed to receive a single Oscar nomination.
Yeah, I mean, Challengers again, it seemed to be like her kind of big push in terms of like awards, pushing her boundaries in terms of her acting chops and her ability to go into more challenging, different affair from what you would kind of see her in, or she started to become known for. Linked up with a prestigious director, has prestigious kind of sound people behind it, like had everything lined up for it. It had a huge push in terms of like media run and promotion and everything. And like it was supposed to be that, but I think when it hit, it was kind of just kind of mid. I don't really think it like moved people in any kind of certain way. I think people kind of found it enjoyable, but it's not one that you would definitely hear people talking about with any necessarily conviction throughout the year, which ultimately doomed it. It was a little bit middle of the ground. It didn't really push the boundaries or like change opinions in one way or another, good or bad.
Challengers director also saw his other awards hopeful film, Queer, miss out.
Yeah, he had two films this year. That on surface, Challengers I didn't think was necessarily an awards Oscar bait, but it definitely had everything it needed to kind of get that attention. This one, Queer, featuring one Daniel Craig playing a very, very, very different role than he's ever played in terms of like big film and on the big screen. He's very opposite of 007. He seems to be on his own kind of rediscovery of his career and what it means outside of like big franchises, big tentpole kind of movies, and like kind of going that indie artistic route. I thought this would be one that would get a ton of bait, a ton of love, but it came and it went, and I did not really hear anything about it.
On nominations, including for star Daniel Craig, who was seen as a possible Best Actor nominee. In the Best Supporting Actress category, both Margaret Qualley for The Substance and Selena Gomez for Emilia Perez missed out on expected nominations. Meanwhile,
I think the fact that those two missed out is just because they had a cast member who would just overshadow them in such a manner for whatever reason that they just could not find a way to kind of include them, which, you know, seems reasonable. Emilia Perez had a ton of other nominations in terms of like other actors, and same with The Substance. They got getting a lot of love, and Demi Moore was pretty much at the forefront of that. So it's not really surprising not to see them get that.
While Monica Barbaro landed a surprise nod for her role in A Complete Unknown. Robert Eggers' vampire film Nosferatu received more recognition than expected with 4 nominations.
Than expected? I actually expected more. I thought Nosferatu was the perfect kind of Oscar nomination and Oscar buzz, considering it's shot in like very kind of old school cinematic way. It is very much a nod to the classic Nosferatu film, which is almost at the beginning of Hollywood and is a very much beloved property and just iconic kind of thing in its own right. And it's shot by A24, Robert Eggers. Look at the cast. The cast was absolutely insane. So I'm really surprised it did not get actually more love.
Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 2 landed a Best Picture nomination but got much less awards love than its predecessor. Despite Wicked having a big morning picking up the second most nominations, director John M. Chu was shut out of the Best Director category.
That was crazy. That is fucking crazy. Like, how do you have the biggest film of the year, the one that is most talked about, the most nominated film ever, most nominated film this year, most talked about film this year, biggest opening this year, biggest box office this year, rave reviews, and the director not get a nomination?
How, Sway?
If I'm him, I'm hot. I'm not gonna lie. I am fucking hot. He was the guy that brought the vision, who put this together, who brought this to life. It seemed like an almost impossibility to do this at the level that he did, but he did it. And again, somebody who does not love musicals, does not love plays, does not even love Wizard of Oz particularly, found this movie extremely enjoyable, found the pacing great, found the shots great, found everything like was pretty much on point. And to have the moment that it had this year and for him not to get a nomination for director is fucking crazy.
And in the Best Picture category, Sing Sing, September 5th, and A Real Pain all missed out on nominations, despite the latter two landing PGA Award noms, while Nickel Boys and I'm Still Here were surprise Best Picture nominees. For a full look at all the nominations and award season analysis, head on over to
Look, I'm not gonna say that they necessarily got things wrong this year. They didn't. I feel like they actually got things largely right this year. For the most part, the movies that should have been awarded got some nomination, should have been acknowledged, got their, acknowledgement, got their nominations. There weren't too many snubs. There were definitely some clear ones. Like Chu not getting nominated for director is fucking insane. But like, I think for the most part, they got things right. But obviously, there's always going to be some controversial picks, some controversial exclusions, controversial inclusions. But for the most part, more so than other years, I definitely think that they got things a little bit more right than ever. And the fact that they're having Conan O'Brien hosting as well has me kind of excited to see how this year's goes. I probably won't watch the entire thing, but I'll definitely be tuning in to see the highlights, because this one could be shaping up to be a very, very interesting year in terms of Oscars. And if the Golden Globes is anything to go by, could be a good year. Could be a good year for awards. Could be a good year.